Jenna Ortega labeled as toxic entitled star. Stephen DeKnight, a television and film producer, called Jenna Ortega entitled and toxic after she called the writers and producers of Netflix's Wednesday publicly shit. Yikes. On the Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard podcast that aired on March 6th, Ortega revealed that while she was working on the show's set, she had become involved with the script's writing, sometimes even fighting with the script supervisor because she felt very, very protective of her character. Regarding her initial criticism of the script, Ortega stated, "I don't think I've ever had to put my foot down on a set in the way that I had to on Wednesday because it's so easy to fall into that category, especially with this type of show." Jenna described her reasoning for being as involved in the script writing, saying, "I had to play everything she did, and it didn't make any sense for her character at all. It made no sense for her to be in a love triangle." She says, "Oh my god, I love it," during a line about the dress she has to wear to a school dance. "I can't believe I said that. I actually hate myself. So I needed to go, no, it's basically impossible." She became extremely protective of Wednesday, but you can't lead a story if there isn't an emotional arc because then it's boring and no one likes you. On that set, there were times when I even started changing lines and became almost unprofessional. When I had to meet with the writers, they would ask, "Wait, what happened to the scene?" because the script supervisor thought I was going somewhere. Furthermore, I would need to go through and make sense of why I was unable to do specific things, she said. In other news, the Wednesday actress wanted her character to feel authentic, which is why she took the unprofessional approach. The actress recalled at times becoming unprofessional regarding traditional roles and the expectations placed on actors and writers on a series because this appears to be a problem that was ongoing. During a Netflix Q&A, Ortega reiterated remarks in which she stated that she was blown away by a lot of dialogue like that in an attempt to make her sound human. On the podcast, Ortega also said that some of her protectiveness and disagreements about the character were based on the fact that the show needed to give Wednesday an emotional arc because she was a morbid teen girl. She said, "Wednesday's a teenager. It's funny and cute when you say morbid, offensive things when you're young. However, at that point you become a teen. It's, now you're being dreadful and you know it. There are fewer excuses." Ortega revealed she got involved in a major way and even at one point told Burton that she didn't want a choreographer for the show's now iconic dance scene. The actress mentioned she was involved in the removal of a flash mob scene that had originally been inserted in place of her now iconic dance sequence. At one point, she told producer Burton not to hire a choreographer because she felt overwhelmed and had stopped trusting outside opinion about the character. She was supposed to start dancing and everyone was supposed to pick up on it and start dancing with her. At first it was supposed to be a flash mob. She vetoed that because she didn't get why she would accept that. The actress declared either cut it or have Wednesday knock out someone and then it's done. Overall, the actress stated that when she left the set, her experience on the show affected her confidence. The actress stated, "I can't watch my work, but I can go home from set and say, the scene that we shot today felt good. There was not a single scene in the show on Wednesday when I went home and thought, okay, that should be fine." But the script overhauls and constructive feedback during filming didn't deter the show's producers from working with her again. Not only will Ortega play Wednesday in a second season, but she will serve as an executive producer herself. She has also questioned the origin of recent professional opportunities and ultimately what has made her a favorite. Several people now know her from that. Ortega elaborated, "I think it also adds an additional level of insecurity and stress because it's not my proudest moment internally. Because it's like, no, I'm finally getting offers to these places I want to go, but I don't want to be known for that specifically." Since the show's release in November, a number of Ortega's comments about working on it have attracted attention. The actress previously stated in an interview with Entertainment Tonight that she performed the show's dance sequence while sick and that she was devastated by the fact that she was unable to return to Netflix's You after filming on Wednesday. Even though her breakout hit Wednesday only made her a household name, Jenna Ortega has been a rising star in Hollywood for more than a decade, starting her career when she was just 10 years old. In October 2022, Ortega stated to Who What Wear, "I never really considered it because a lot of what I do is horror and they all have these moody and nasty qualities. But what I love is that they also have a sassy teenage nature. The thing about horror is that it has now become my second home. I've worked on enough of those sets to know what I expect when I go. It appears to be a typical 9-to-5 job. However, Ortega looks for roles that are not at all typical, stating that it is up to the next generation of creatives to accurately portray diverse stories, particularly those involving teenagers. Ortega went on to say, "I really see my young generation taking more control of themselves in the industry, whether it be learning to write earlier, direct earlier, or produce earlier. I think it's really important and empowering because at the moment the majority of teen voices are still being told by older white men. We'll realize that girls are much more than just a stereotype the more that happens." That's the real tea, Jenna. Jenna started her acting career long before she played Wednesday Addams, as we've said. She went on to play notable roles in films like Annie and Insidious Chapter 2 features Harley Diaz from Stuck in the Middle by Disney, Young Jane from Jane the Virgin, Ellie Alves from You, and Tara Carpenter from Scream. She'll be reprising her role as Tara in Scream 6. Let's take a look at some of her most memorable roles. Ortega made her big screen debut with the MCU portion in Iron Man 3, playing VP Rodriguez's little girl who lost her leg. Rodriguez is working with Aldrich Killian to oust the ongoing president and utilize the extremist infection, which has regenerative characteristics, on his girl. For the CW show, Ortega played the younger Jane, who was Gina Rodriguez's character in the flashback scenes. Over the course of the show's 5 seasons, Ortega made an appearance in 30 of them. Ortega stated to Sling TV that Rodriguez, a co-star in Jane the Virgin, and Jennifer Lawrence, an actress in Hunger Games, were her 2 role models. So if you watched you may remember her role as Ellie Alves in season 2 of the show. The neighbor of Joe Goldberg may have been one of Joe's more genuine friendships in the show. Ellie only mentioned in season 3 that Joe is still paying for her to finish her education after appearing in every episode of the 2nd season. Jenna loved playing her character in You, saying that the fact that Ellie has the confidence to say things I wouldn't normally say is one of my favorite things about her. According to Ortega, who spoke with Teen Vogue, "There are so many people like Ellie I know. I just kind of played around with the angst that most teens experience. Spending more time with that version of myself was really all that was needed. It would be amazing to see Ellie come back and take control of her life," Ortega continued. "She would not waste the talent and potential she possesses due to Joe." Jenna Ortega has become a household name since the release of Tim Burton's Wednesday. The show follows Wednesday Addams as she starts school at Nevermore Academy and tries to solve a 25-year-old murder mystery involving her parents. The actress plays the show's main character. The first week of the show saw streaming records broken and it became the most watched show ever on Netflix. Even at the 80th Golden Globe Awards, Jenna was nominated for 2 awards. She was nominated for Best Actress in a Comedy, Musical, or Television Series, and Wednesday was nominated for Best Comedy, Musical, or Television Series. Naturally, this makes us wonder how much money Jenna made from the show and how that affected her overall wealth. Unfortunately, the 20-year-old's Wednesday paycheck is unknown. However, according to Deadline, the starting salaries of actors in Netflix series like 13 Reasons Why and Stranger Things ranged from $20,000 to $60,000 per episode. It's likely that Jenna's starting salary was somewhere on the higher end of that range, given that she was a well-known established actress by the time Wednesday premiered, and that she was also the show's spectacular lead actress. Now, given Wednesday's initial success, it is anticipated that her salary will only rise. It's not out of the question that Jenna could eventually be earning the same amount when Wednesday is renewed. In later seasons, the stars of 13 Reasons Why and Stranger Things began earning up to $200,000 and $300,000 per episode. Her presence on social media also made headlines recently. Jenna added a staggering 10 million new Instagram followers just 10 days after Wednesday's release. On November 23rd, the actress had 9 million followers, and on December, the number had increased to 20 million. Her number of followers now? I guess we just have to check her Instagram to find out. But how might Jenna's large number of followers on social media affect her wealth? Netflix Life claims that she can make over $78,000 per sponsored Instagram post. Her salary is likely to rise in tandem with her growing number of followers. And although Jenna doesn't have a lot of sponsored posts on her grid, she has been successful in major campaigns with major brands like Neutrogena. It's clear that Jenna's career is just beginning, and we can't wait to see where she goes next. All that she's accomplished so far has prompted huge money. Jenna has a current net worth of $3 million according to Celebrity Net Worth. However, like her Instagram account, we can only anticipate that number to increase. So what is next for Jenna Ortega? The 20-year-old is on a winning streak at the moment, starring in Tim Burton's Wednesday on Netflix and taking a lead role in Scream 6. Prior to that, Ortega starred as Lorraine in 2022 Slasher X, Ellie Alves in Murder Happy Thriller You, and Phoebe in dark comedy The Babysitter feature Killer Queen. During her opening monologue, Ortega joked that she wasn't as dark and twisted as her recent run of horror roles suggested. She was also a guest host on the iconic SNL show recently. The fact that the 20-year-old actor is currently working on a number of very different projects serves as further evidence of that point. Winter, Spring, Summer, or Fall, which is currently in post-production, sees Ortega reunite with her Wednesday co-star, Percy Hines-White. The drama tells the story of two teens who met and fall in love over 4 days of the year, and is directed by Tiffany Paulson. In Finest Kind, a crime thriller in which two brothers are drawn into a deal with an organized crime syndicate in Boston, Ortega is set to play Nikki alongside Tommy Lee Jones and Ben Foster. The filming, which began in May 2022 and was directed by Brian Helgeland, is currently in post-production. Jake Gyllenhaal, Zendaya, and Ansel Elgort were reportedly set to appear in the film at one point. Miller's Girl, which also stars Martin Freeman and Christine Adams, will be Jade Bartlett's directorial debut. The following is a synopsis of the comedy drama. Between a talented student and a teacher, creative writing assignments produce complex outcomes. The screenplay that Bartlett wrote for Miller's Girl was included on the 2016 Blacklist, which is a list of the best unproduced scripts of the year. At one point, she was working on the script for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Trey Edward Schultz is set to direct this untitled film, which was announced by Deadline last month. The film is based on an original idea from The Weeknd, aka Abel Tesfaye, and the plot is currently being kept a secret, but Ortega and Barry Keoghan are set to star. Reporting the Deadline, after their successful years, both Ortega and Keoghan made it abundantly clear that they wanted this to be their next project, despite considering a number of offers. Michael Keaton expressed interest in making a film that would be a sequel to Tim Burton's 1988 film in 2014 before the script was rewritten in 2017. The movie is now expected to shoot in London in May and June, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Burton and Keaton are likely to return, and Ortega is reportedly in talks to play Lydia's daughter. The second season of Netflix's smash hit Addams Family spinoff Wednesday was announced in January. The show's creators told Netflix's in-house publication, "Creating a show that has connected people all over the world has been incredible. We are delighted to continue Wednesday's difficult journey into season 2, and we can't wait to begin exploring the creepy, spooky world of Nevermore in a new season." It is safe to assume that Ortega will return, refusing to blink once more, given that she narrated the season 2 teaser and expressed her hopes for the upcoming season. Donald Glover's new series hit the internet on March 17, exploring the dark side of extreme standing for a Beyoncé-inspired character. While the show sees award-worthy performances by Dominique Fishback and even writing contributions from Malia Obama, everyone is hung up on one particular part: Chloe Bailey's sex scene with Damson Idris. And while people are talking about the new Prime Video drama Swarm, this isn't exactly what you might have expected for them to talk about. The Mental Loathsomeness series follows Dominique Fishback's Andrea Dre Green, a music fan who turns out to be progressively fixated on her #1 vocalist and who will go to more noteworthy, hazier lengths to acquire her approval. The show features a graphic scene with Chloe Bailey, who plays Dre's sister Marissa, and Damson Idris, who plays Khalid, Marissa's boyfriend, which attracted a lot of attention. In the first episode of the show, Bailey and Idris have sex within the first few minutes of the show, and due to its graphic nature, viewers engaged in a lot of online conversation. While some viewers made inappropriate comments about the scene, others posted their thoughts about what they had seen on social media. On Twitter, a video of the scene itself began to circulate as well. One person made a joke about the scene being shared so widely. I open up Twitter and the first thing I see is that sexual moment from Swarm with Chloe Bailey and Damson Idris. A different user merely stated, "For the rest of my life, I'll be thinking about the sex scene between Damson Idris and Chloe Bailey." A little too dramatic, but anyway, another one on Twitter criticized Bailey for choosing to appear in such a scene, writing, "I just know it. Please tell me where Chloe Bailey's mentor is. She's been making bad decisions lately. She shouldn't have done that sex scene in Swarm, and I won't even talk about her most recent collaboration." In recent months, there has been a lot of debate about whether or not sex scenes should be in movies and TV shows, with some arguing that they should be completely removed from media altogether. One person responded to the reaction to the scene in Swarm by reflecting on this debate. It's ironic that people on Twitter are now watching Swarm because of the Chloe Bailey sex scene, given that you've been on here for nearly a year complaining that sex scenes in movies and television are unnecessary. During the discussion about the sex scene, one person praised Bailey for her performance throughout the show, saying, "I adore Chloe Bailey's acting abilities. She is so talented, and I can't imagine what she can't do in #Swarm." In an interview with Deadline at SXSW, Bailey said that she was scared of filming the intimate scene with Idris, but her co-star helped her get through it. She also commented on the experience of filming the scene. She explained to the publication, "Even though I'm very open and honest about my body, I was very afraid because I haven't had many partners. I'm not like that. I'm not sexual or open like that. Damson made it easy. There weren't many people on set. It was a closed set. You know, we were making a joke out of it, so it took all the nervousness away from that. We literally had a bouncy ball in between us." She continued, "I have to give him a lot of credit as a man for making me feel comfortable literally being raw and naked." A debate about racism and colorism in Hollywood has been sparked by Chloe Bailey's new show, in which she is shown having sex. Halle Berry has now been added to the conversation. Since then, a lot of talk has been made about her decision to work in the industry. Some people think it's a good move and good for her, while others think it fits in with other decisions she's made recently, like releasing a single with Chris Brown, which some people think is not so wise. There were users defending Chloe too. They don't really have an issue with the sex scene, they just have an issue with Chloe Bailey existing, someone tweeted. Everyone just wants to pick on her for little things. Honestly, I kind of agree because this is not the first show ever to have had a sex scene, and people are acting like it is. The morals when picking roles discussion is left to Chloe Bailey. It's giving misogynistic, it's giving anti-feminist. The conversation changed on Saturday when someone compared Halle Berry getting back shots in a role got her an Oscar, right? Someone tweeted. The point she was making was that even though Halle did risque things in her days, such as winning an Oscar for Monsters Ball, that did not diminish her work or appearances. While Halle Berry's scene in Monster Ball won her the Oscars, Bailey's role is inciting controversies. One user commented, "Halle Berry is not black, she's biracial, white passing, plus she was Hollyweird's favorite." Megan Good just talked about how hard her career has been by taking these types of roles. Many detractors mentioned Zendaya saying she also gets a clean shit despite doing numerous explicit scenes in Euphoria owing to her mixed heritage. A user commented, "It's like if she was Zendaya or someone on that side, this wouldn't even be up for discussion, but don't let it be someone black. The black community's so sad." They would praise her for every sexual thing and drug thing they did in Euphoria when speaking about Zendaya. The user basically stated that Chloe's sex scene will not define her acting career and that it's unfair to suggest that it will. Basically, stop criticizing her too soon. However, another Twitter user responded by claiming that Halle benefits from a lighter complexion. Leaving semantics aside, this woman's point is that Halle meets Hollywood's traditional white European beauty standard better than Chloe or any other dark-skinned black women, as she explains in greater detail on her page. As a result, she believes that Halle has had a simpler time in the entertainment industry than Chloe might have in this particular area, also known as revealing everything. To put it another way, this user believes that colorism is still alive and well in the entertainment industry, and that darker-skinned black performers will have a harder time than their lighter-skinned counterparts, which has been proven to be true time and time again, most recently right now. A Twitter user commented, "You would never see an Angela Bassett or a Denzel Washington do a scene like this, so all these black actors coming up, they're going to be issues because they will do anything to get a role. Sad. Hence, Halle Berry and Monsters Ball," to which another fan replied, "Don't agree with the Halle Berry opinion because that had some level of art to it. I do agree there needs to be a taste level. This just feels gratuitous and I don't feel like it's art or anything but cheap explicit content. Denzel really was thoughtful always. I see regrets in the future." Of course, there is also the Bailey family here, specifically the fact that Halle Bailey, Chloe's famous sister, has a more polished image than perhaps her older sister does. Halle plays Ariel in Disney's The Little Mermaid, which is very family friendly. On top of that, she generally avoids personal controversy. Chloe, on the other hand, is criticized more closely and is frequently referred to as the wild child of the two. In any case, despite all the chirping, we should be able to agree that anyone can do whatever they want. Chloe is undoubtedly unbothered about anything. So why is that Swarm scene causing such a stir on the internet? Not to mention anyone who's bookmarked the tweet clearly thirsty. Bailey frequently comes under fire for almost everything she does, especially for being open about her sensuality. Despite the fact that some of her videos do convey a certain level of cringe, it's her platform and life. She can act however she pleases. But I will say I'm not a fan of Bailey's decision to collaborate with Chris Brown, the R&B musician who has a long history of assaulting women, including Rihanna in 2009. Some people praise Idris for the scene and for actually dating Lori Harvey, which is typical male praise, while others criticize Bailey. One tweet said this move would ruin her career. Twitter fingers scrutinize and chuckle at Bailey's straightforward, exotic nature, saving clips of her sex scenes for obvious reasons. Sadly, that's what being a woman is like in this day and age. Penn Badgley is ready to give fans the happy ending they deserve, and he has a plan for it when it should happen. The actor who stars as Joe Goldberg on beloved Netflix series You recently announced he hopes the show will be given a proper finale in 2024. I think if this show goes beyond 3 seasons, then it deserves a proper ending, Badgley said. We've been so lucky to have the success that we've had, and I think it's important to also give fans a resolution they can be satisfied with. Badgley added that he hopes the show will last long enough for him to pull off an epic finale. I'm picturing something big, he said, maybe like a world tour or an event at Disneyland. Something really special that people won't forget. No matter what happens when You finally comes to an end, fans can rest assured knowing Badgley is determined to make sure it goes out with a bang. Until then, let the countdown begin. And of course, Badgley's ultimate goal, I want to make sure everyone gets the ending they deserve. Now let's get back to our stalker stories. I can't wait to see what he comes up with. We don't know what the future holds for You, but one thing is for certain, it'll be worth the wait. We can't wait to see how Badgley wraps up this incredible story with a satisfying conclusion. But Penn Badgley can't stop talking about how much he despises his You character Joe Goldberg. To be fair, it's difficult to sympathize with a sadistic stalker, but many viewers of this psychological thriller do, which has offended the Gossip Girl alums since the series' September 2018 premiere on Lifetime. In an interview with Vanity Fair the following year, Badgley stated, "We can't lead ourselves to believe that if Joe would simply find the right person, that he would be happy, because he's an effing murderer." When the show based on Carolyn Kepnes's novel of the same name moved to Netflix for season 2 in 2019, both Badgley's disdain for the protagonist and their love for him grew stronger. The John Exhaust should kick the bucket entertainer told BuzzFeed in 2020 that he felt monstrously tangled about the psychopathic job like clockwork, other than the period of following up on camera, which is among activity and cut. Fair enough, Badgley didn't like his Gossip Girl character either. I don't dislike Dan Humphrey at all. In 2012, the Maryland native told Vulture, "It's just, after a while, you're known as somebody that you're just not, and this is somebody who I am so not. A tool on a show with soap operatic arcs, and he needs to be a judgmental douchebag sometimes," Badgley said of the privileged teen he played for 6 seasons from 2007 to 2012. I get that. However, it annoys me when I'm mistaken for him and am referred to as Dan. Even though Dan was made out to be Gossip Girl, sorry for spoiling it if you haven't seen it, but he wasn't a murderer. Nevertheless, Badgley identifies a connection between the lonely boy and his You doppelganger based on their spooky online habits. The Easy A actor stated to InStyle in January 2020, "When I first read the pilot script for You, I definitely saw the similarities between Joe and Dan. I think it was really caught between appreciating that was an interesting progression for me and understanding that it wasn't." Even though Badgley despises Joe, he is impressed by the show's capacity to dazzle both its viewers and him. He went on to say, "Trust me, as an actor, I find it very difficult to sometimes suspend my disbelief when you are forced into a position that is just in the literal sense of the word incredible. What's interesting about this show is that it works." In a 2019 interview with Digital Spy, Badgley admitted, "There's a lot I don't enjoy about him. He doesn't enjoy playing Joe. To be honest, almost everything about him doesn't appeal to me." However, the star of Greetings from Tim Buckley stated to the New York Times in 2019 that Joe is this work in progress in dismantling and dissecting the myriad privileges that a young, attractive white man carries with him in an effort to humanize his character. Penn does not think Joe deserves anyone's sympathy. Following the second season's release, Badgley stated that there was no reason for viewers to support his character on You. In 2019, the musician told Entertainment Weekly, Joe is not exactly looking for true love. He's just someone who needs someone to love him. He's a killer, he's a sociopath, he's cruel, he's capricious. Additionally, he is self-centered. However, the Slap alum explained to InStyle in January 2020 that he's actually in some ways made to be the perfect guy that does this really. To even say it's terrible is kind of an understatement thing. And that he understands the fascination of viewers with his character, who at times is so impossibly sympathetic and even honest and brave. He doesn't want Joe Badgley's fans to lust after Joe. Badgley has worked to prevent Joe from becoming a homicidal heartthrob. He has even blocked suggestive tweets from viewers who want him to kidnap them. During an appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in 2020, he stated, I struggled greatly with the conflict of playing such a guy and him being partly so likable and having such a, as we say, thirsty response to him. He stated to Vice in the same year that he felt as if every one of my greatest fears and hopes for people's engagement with the show came to be fulfilled, due to the crushes on his insane character. Some people's reactions included ignoring all of Joe's flaws and simply falling in love with him, which is the whole point of the show. Both gratifying and troubling it was. Badgley finds Joe challenging to play as a father. Penn invited his most memorable youngster, with spouse Domino Kirk, in September 2020, similarly as Joe turned into a first-time father in season 3. In October 2021, the Margin Call actor told Access Hollywood, I was curious with my new fatherhood, how that would influence my experience with Joe and acting with him. He went on to say, I was having a light and joyful experience, still am. Sometimes it was almost not helpful. Joe is so frightened. He's so afraid. According to him, the Bedford Diaries alum found the character to be just so morbid in his obsessive, sort of like self-preservation, primal instinct. Even though he could identify with Joe's fears regarding his parents. Because of this, I almost found it harder at times. He thinks Joe can't be saved. In January 2020, Badgley told BuzzFeed, well, I don't think redemption for Joe is possible. He's among the worst. The Here Today actor, on the other hand, has given a lot of thought to how Joe's story ought to end. He thinks there should be a genuine feeling of equity, not so much for Joe, but rather for everyone in the world that has been made. He says that probably means Joe will be unhappy because he's constitutionally unhappy. In 2021, creator Sarah Gamble revealed that Badgley continues to check in to ensure that Joe does not receive a happy ending. The author told Bustle, I say no, and he responds, good, just making sure. There's a lot I don't enjoy about him. To be honest, I don't enjoy nearly everything about him, he told Digital Spy. However, it ends up being a deep psychological exploration for me. There's a lot about him that I struggle with, and yet I'm always trying to humanize him as much as possible. As he later told Vice, it was sort of like every one of my greatest fears and hopes for people's engagement came to be fulfilled. There were the reactions of overlooking all of Joe's faults, which is the whole point of the show, and just being really into him. That is, to say the least, problematic and disconcerting. Inadvertently, Badgley's desire to make Joe a human being is fueled by his hatred for Joe. Because as an actor, you want to discover the humanity in the character you play, no matter how cruel they are. However, Badgley's disdain for acting goes against an old saying, which makes it even more intriguing. It says that you should try not to judge your character as an actor. The idea is that how well we portray villainous or anti-heroic characters can be affected by our own judgment. Consider this, do the actual villains ever believe they are the villains? No, they believe that their actions are rational and beneficial. As an entertainer, you need to meet your personality there, no matter what the awkward circumstances the story might take you to. However, this does not mean that the actors should know a great deal about their characters. Joe has a boyish charm and piercing eyes, but he hides a cold lifelessness behind those eyes. And Badgley plays that fact to the fullest. This is comparable to Christian Bale's performance in American Psycho, albeit toned down for the Teen Vogue audience. However, Badgley uses a curious streak of altruism within Joe's repulsiveness to further humanize his character. According to Badgley himself, we are aware that Joe is a murderer who is sociopathic, abusive, delusional, and obsessed with himself. We are nevertheless moved by the instances in which Badgley's character is confronted with traumatic childhood memories. And boy, did Joe have a rough childhood. He killed his abusive father and was left by his mother. Talk about extreme parental issues. Then, when he's in his teens, a bookkeeper named Mr. Mooney, Mark Bloom, takes him in. However, Joe's new father was psychologically abusive, whereas his real father was physically abusive. Joe is imprisoned in a glass cage by Mooney in the basement of his bookstore as punishment. Joe should be forced to read the classic books that fill his transparent prison because Mooney wants him to learn from wiser men. These traumatic events had a positive and negative impact on Badgley's Joe. The evidence is in the pudding as to how it transformed him into a psychopath. Joe, on the other hand, developed compassion for children as a result of the trauma that transformed him into a better man. In particular, those caught in crappy circumstances that help him to remember his own, as Paco or Ellie. Badgley, on the other hand, has the opportunity to burst into an effective wave of emotions whenever Joe perceives that they are in danger. He transforms the psychopathic tendencies of his character into something resembling altruism, albeit murderous altruism. The internet has differentiated between Badgley's Joe and Michael C. Hall's Dexter Morgan due to this altruistic aspect. However, Joe's not a serial killer in and of himself, despite the fact that he kills bad guys. He doesn't know the hard line between right and wrong like Dexter does. While Joe is still a terrible sociopathic stalker who is just a twisted little psychopath, no matter how hard he tries to protect the innocent. Additionally, Badgley ensures that Joe's psychopathic as well as charitable tendencies were always deliberate. It is shown to us in a flashback to his first big boy murder when he found out that his girlfriend Candace was having an affair. Instead of responding in a macho way, the man relents after being confronted, claiming that he was unaware that Candace was with another person. Following this odd brotherly response, Badgley's face is filled with resignation. It puts Joe promptly daydreaming, his smoldering fury dispersing as he drearily leaves. Badgley, on the other hand, demonstrates a nearly imperceptible shift in Joe's energy as the dude bro begins to disparage Candace's name. We can see the determination on his face. He's gonna carry out his original plan, and pop, pop, pop. He rapidly pivots and pushes the man off of a high edge. Because Badgley does not portray Joe as having uncontrollable rage, this moment is so powerful. Instead, Badgley makes certain that Joe willfully crosses the line between right and wrong and will never look back. Although the first season of You premiered on Lifetime, a network devoted to melodramatic cheesiness, it's now available on Netflix. That sensibility is evident in each and every episode of You. However, Joe Goldberg, played by Penn Badgley, is not a melodramatic maniac who commits passion crimes. Badgley portrays Joe with the same surgical precision and deliberateness that he demonstrates in his performance in each and every episode of the show. But Badgley's powerful performance would have made all of Joe's murderous flaws unpleasant. Even though he ultimately despises his character, Joe Goldberg has only increased public affection. I've been watching the new season of You, and honestly, if I were playing Joe, I would most definitely despise him too. He's extremely twisted, and obviously is followed by misfortune no matter how much he tries to change. That kind of bad luck is just not going away. Today we're going to be talking about Chase Stokes on the last season of Outer Banks. Chase Stokes, the American actor and social media personality who rose to fame through his roles in Outer Banks, Stranger Things, and Tell Me Your Secrets, started his career when he was cast as the lead role of John B. on the Netflix series Outer Banks. His portrayal of John B. earned him widespread acclaim and recognition from fans around the world. His success on the show has led to many other noteworthy roles, including playing a recurring character in Stranger Things and appearing as a lead role in the new Amazon Prime thriller Tell Me Your Secrets. Like most actors of this generation, he is an active social media user with millions of followers across various platforms. He often shares snippets from his personal life and upcoming projects, giving fans an inside look into his work and lifestyle. In addition to acting, he also enjoys writing music and posts covers of some of his favorite songs on YouTube. Chase is also an avid traveler who enjoys exploring different cultures around the world. With such an inspiring career and lifestyle, it is no wonder why Chase Stokes is one of today's most beloved actors. Stokes is the perfect example of a modern-day star, combining his talent for acting with his business savvy and creative pursuits. As he continues to make waves in Hollywood, we can expect to see more ambitious projects from him in the near future. Chase Stokes reprised his role as John B in the second season of Outer Banks, and fans were thrilled to see him back on their screens. In this season, John B is living a more than comfortable life crafted by his secret society connections, but he soon realizes that his newfound wealth comes with its own set of problems. With his friends from the OG crew still struggling financially, he has to make a choice between helping them out or keeping the luxurious lifestyle he's grown accustomed to. As tensions mount and old rivalries are reignited, it becomes increasingly clear that John B will have to decide where his loyalties lie if he wants to protect those closest to him. Stokes does an amazing job at conveying these mixed emotions through his performance, and fans can't help but root for John B to make the right decision. It's no wonder that Outer Banks has become such a successful show. With Stokes at its helm, it's continued to deliver compelling stories and captivating performances season after season. Before his newfound fame in Outer Banks, Chase worked as a bartender and a food photographer. While he was taking acting classes, he spent months couch surfing and occasionally sleeping in his '09 BMW in the Ovation Hollywood, formerly Hollywood and Highland Mall parking lot. Stokes said that despite his circumstances, he initially turned down audition offers for Outer Banks because, according to him, it felt like a remake of Goonies and he didn't want to ruin a classic. In any case, in the long run, a loft expulsion notice, his vehicle's overheating motor, and terminated labels persuaded him to try it out. He considers himself lucky to have done so. I mean, I would too. Stokes stated, "But I think luck is when consistency, determination, and hard work meet." Outer Banks, the teen drama about a group of attractive young adventurers referred to as Pogues, battling the rich kids referred to as Kooks of their island community and pursuing treasure connected to John B's father's disappearance. It debuted in 2020, but its second season debuted in July 2021, becoming the most watched English language series on Netflix for 4 weeks worldwide. Over 4,000 fans came to Huntington Beach, California, to attend a fan event to promote the third season and see performances by Lil Baby and Khalid. The show's fourth season has already been renewed, which was also announced by the cast. After successfully scavenging and then losing treasures in the Outer Banks of North Carolina in the previous 2 seasons, John B and the other Pogues re-embarked on a new quest for gold in season 3 of Outer Banks. The crew was last seen on a deserted island they called Pogelandia. The unexpected discovery of Big John, played by Charles Halford, John B's presumed dead father, stokes a new desire to find yet another bounty. So now a little bit more about Chase. Stokes spent most of his childhood in South Florida despite being born in Annapolis, Maryland. He finished high school in 2010 and went on to Valencia College to earn a degree in the Association of Arts 2 years later. And he graduated from the University of Central Florida with his MBA in 2015. Chase regularly surfed and went boating because he was raised so close to water. He has a number of hobbies now that he is older, including poetry and music. He used to want to play professional ice hockey, but after getting hurt, he changed his mind. Additionally, Chase enjoys acting. I mean, obviously, he's an actor. He made his screen debut as Captain Charles Whitaker in the 2015 short film Lost Island shortly after graduating. He appeared briefly in the first season of the Netflix series Stranger Things a year later. After that, he made his directorial debut in the independent film Between Waves in 2018, but he is best known for his breakthrough role as John B. Stokes is unquestionably regarded as one of the most highly regarded actors, and the general public greatly values his performances. With his excellent acting skills, he has been capturing the hearts of many people. Now, as many people who follow the show might know, Chase Stokes did split from his Outer Banks co-star Madeline Klein, but now fans want to know who his current girlfriend is, especially since romance rumors started pointing to a particular country singer. The most recent information about Chase's current relationship, as well as a look back at his previous relationships. The internet cannot resist a celebrity romance rumor. If a new celebrity pairing is in the works, fan will find out who Selena Gomez is dating or what Dua Lipa's boyfriend's situation is up to. Which leads us to John B, also known as Chase Stokes. After he and Glass Onion's Madeline destitute the hearts of Outer Banks stans across the globe with their split, Things went a little tranquil on the relationship front for him. However, it now appears that we have some new exciting information. There has been a lot of talk about Chase Stokes dating country pop singer Kelsea Ballerini in the celebrity zeitgeist. But the actor has finally said where they stand. Here is the 411 in addition to a recap on Chase's new girl sitch and full dating history. After months of teasing us with cuddly Instagram photos, Chase Stokes finally confirmed that they are dating on March 3rd, 2023 during an interview with Today. He responded yes when host Chanel Jones asked him if he was a fan of Ballerini, who was scheduled to perform on SNL the following night. Absolutely, I'm a fan. Yeah, who isn't a fan? In January 2023, Chase's Instagram featured a picture of him snuggling up to a girl at the football game. We could only see the back of the mystery woman's head, but Chase later added Kelsey's name to the picture. So, secret ladies? Not really. After being questioned about her, Chase then seemed to confirm the relationship with TMZ, saying she's a sweet girl, we're having a good time, and that's all I'll say. So cute. Comment below if you ship this couple or if you shipped him more with Madeline. And even though he doesn't make as much as the $400 million Outer Banks treasure, Chase Stokes' net worth is still high enough to make fans gasp. What is Chase Stokes' salary on the Outer Banks? Although Stokes' Outer Banks salary and the salaries of the other cast members are unknown, there are some indications of what he might earn. We estimate that Stokes and his co-stars are making a respectable amount of money, given that Outer Banks Season 2 was the show on Nielsen's list with the most viewers in August 2021, with over 1.1 million views and 2.1 billion minutes. We're able to estimate that the Outer Banks cast likely earned approximately the same amount as the casts of other Netflix shows such as Stranger Things during their first and second seasons. The teenage stars of Stranger Things earned $20,000 per episode in Season 1, according to The Hollywood Reporter, before receiving raises of $60,000 in Season 2. Although Outer Banks cast salary is unknown, it is probably likely to be between $20 and $80K per episode at the moment. In addition, showrunner Jonas Pate stated to Entertainment Weekly in 2020 that she anticipates Outer Banks to run for 4 to 5 seasons, allowing for an additional increase in the cast's compensation. Outer Banks is anticipated to run for 4 to 5 seasons, allowing for an additional increase in cast's compensation. We have always viewed it as something that was probably like a 4-season, 5-season show, but definitely 4 seasons. We've pretty much arced it out long enough, but I hope that we actually get the chance to tell those stories. Comment below if you would be watching if they made more seasons. Outer Banks, starring Stokes as John Booker Routledge, debuted on Netflix in April 2020, and the show takes place in a coastal town on North Carolina's Outer Banks. There is a social divide between the wealthy kooks and the working class pogues. The story revolves around a group of pogues as they look into what happened to John B., the ringleader's missing father, leads them to a search for a treasure that is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. When asked about the response to Outer Banks, Stokes told Brief Take in 2020, "When we shoot these things, especially as a young actor, I think it's a little bit surreal to see a company like Netflix be as excited about the show as everybody who is responsible for creating it. Because it still is one of those pinch me things, it has been extremely humbling and surreal at the same time. When we were making the show, it felt like we were working on an independent film for us in particular. We hope that one day it will be released, but now that it is pretty awesome, man. It's been an awesome experience." So how much money does Chase Stokes have? Papa says that Chase has a net worth of $650,000, making him the second richest Outer Banks cast member. According to Gossip Gist, his ex-girlfriend Madeline Klein is the cast member with the highest net worth. She's worth $800,000. In addition to Outer Banks, Stokes has appeared in films like Between Waves, Dr. Bird's Advice for Sad Poets, and the television shows Daytime Divas and The First. Additionally, he has collaborated with American Eagle and Sweet Earth Foods. In a 2022 interview with Elle, Stokes discussed the highs and lows of his fame since the Outer Banks. As lovely as it's been throughout recent years, there's been a ton of ups and downs with the show having the achievement it has, he said, and it's extremely challenging to step back and process everything. Barometers of success are things I try not to pay attention to because I'm not someone who operates on ego. I make an effort to be as pleasant as possible and allow myself to simply live each moment. While his prosperity might have appeared to be for the time being, he was functioning as an entertainer well before he was projected in Outer Banks. He stated, "I think one thing about me is that this journey has not been quick or easy. I've lived in LA for a considerable amount of time and have experienced numerous difficulties like life never really came my way even before I started working in this field. Because of this, I'm aware that anything can be taken away at any time. I try to walk through life with that mentality and make sure that everything that I do it to the best of my ability, and hopefully it resonates with the world," he continued. That's a lovely note to end off on. Like this video if you're tuned into the new season of Outer Banks, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time on The Rich Life.